Have a look at this screenshot. Is there anything out of the ordinary? The answer is yes, but more context is required. Because after all, if there wasn't more context, this would be a really boring video, now wouldn't it? Before we get too far into this, I want to thank my friend Pam for sending me this screenshot and for sparking the inevitable debate we're going to have in the comment section, so thanks Pam, and way to go. For a little bit of context, that screenshot was taken in my market by a friend of mine. Matter of fact, let's look at it again. Any guesses what caught my eye? Nope, it wasn't the fact that there was no tip, and believe it or not, wasn't even the fact that the base pay was $9. It's the fact that her high acceptance rate got her that offer. There's only one problem there. Pam's acceptance rate was not high when she received the order. Matter of fact, this is her acceptance rate after completing the order. All right, I want to run through a couple of different scenarios on what could have possibly happened here, but ultimately, I want you guys to let me know what you think happened in the comment section. Scenario number 1. It was an app glitch. Full stop. End of story. Scenario number 2. DoorDash just accidentally confirmed what I've been screaming all along. That acceptance rate doesn't affect the orders you get. Proximity does. Let's look at some arguments for both scenarios. Yes, as we all know, the Dasher app is incredibly buggy, but I've got to ask you a really honest question. How often do those glitches go in our favor? I've been on DoorDash for 4 years now. I've had both a high acceptance rate and I've had a low acceptance rate. And I can honestly say that $9 is a good order on DoorDash in my market, regardless of your acceptance rate. When we're talking about glitches, it's generally what our phone is doing or not doing. Let's be honest, it's not like Pam's phone just summoned this order out of nowhere. No, DoorDash sent it to her phone. Her app didn't do anything janky. I'm going to pop that screenshot up one more time. I want you to take note of what time that came through. It came through at 3:30 p.m. It's not exactly the busiest time in my market, and we damn sure don't lack drivers. So, the only conclusion I can draw is that she was in the right place at the right time. Now, I could understand if it were 4 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday and she were the only driver out, but that's just not the case. It was 3:30 in the afternoon in a market that is oversaturated with drivers. Now, I want to be clear. If you're in a small market where sending it to the driver with the highest acceptance rate isn't going to add minutes to that order, then sure, but that's not my market. In a medium-sized market like mine or in a large market, is it really a smart business move to delay an order potentially minutes by sending it to a driver with a higher acceptance rate who's possibly a few miles down the road? I don't think so. In the words of the president of DoorDash, acceptance rate isn't as important to them as how quick they can get the order accepted to begin with. I'm going to show you some more screenshots. These are orders I have personally received in my market. Let's start with this one. If my acceptance rate were at least 50%, tell me, would that have been marked as high paying? Yep, it sure would have. But what about this one? You bet your ass. How about that one? Same thing. Same thing with this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. I could make this video an hour long with just screenshots alone, but I think you get my point. There's a common theme with all of these orders. I positioned myself well, and I was close to the pickup location. Additionally, I wait in an area that isn't oversaturated with drivers, so when there's an order available near me, I'm the smartest choice, and they don't have to wait on a driver to show up to pick it up. Honestly, how often does DoorDash do anything that actually, truly rewards the driver? I mean, look at our base pay trend over the last... Always. It just doesn't happen. All they care about is getting orders delivered as quickly as possible. But I want to segue for a moment and just vent. As my channel grows, I get more and more hate comments from people telling me that I sold out or that I'm a shill for DoorDash. But there's something that I want to point out. When some lying piece of shit con artist had the community fooled that being a top dasher was the way to get the best orders, make more money, Guess who didn't jump on that bandwagon? My advice has always stayed the same. If you're in a small market where your acceptance rate is truly the difference between you getting the order or not, by all means, do what you have to do. Just make sure you're actually turning a profit. However, with the tier system hitting more and more medium to larger markets, where your acceptance rate truly doesn't matter, I think it's imperative that drivers educate themselves so they don't get walked on. Let's take a moment to think about what's actually the most important to DoorDash, other than Tony's exorbitant salary. It's the customer experience. They want them to keep coming back. How likely do you think a customer is to order again if their order was delayed 10 minutes because they sent it to a driver 4 miles away with a higher acceptance rate? That, my friends, is not logical. Basically, they're going to send it to the driver who is the closest. Whether that driver has a high or a low acceptance rate is of no consequence to them. Everything I just said begs an interesting question. Why do these programs exist to begin with? It's to get low-paying, no-tip orders delivered. We are literally their last priority, and never forget that. I want to turn it back to Pam's order, and I want to share my theory on why I think it was marked as high-paying. I'm going to do my best to explain some really nerdy shit in a way that even a child can understand. There's something in programming called if-else statements. If XYZ is true, do this. Else, do that. Think of it like a light switch. If the switch is down, the light is off. Else, the switch is up, the light is on. It's my suspicion that the high pay order banner that you see when you get an offer with an acceptance rate above 50% is not baked into the algorithm, but rather just an if-else statement that your app on your phone checks when you're getting an order to see if that badge is going to be displayed. Basically, to summarize everything I just said, that high-paying order that you just received, you were going to get regardless. It's just a matter of whether your acceptance rate is above or below 50%. If it's above 50%, you're going to see that banner. If it's below 50%, you weren't. It's just a mind game. Pam was going to get that order regardless of her acceptance rate. She positioned herself well, and she was in the right place at the right time. Some programmer at DoorDash just screwed up and messed up an if-else statement, and that banner showed up when it wasn't supposed to. This video is going out right smack dab in the middle of the summer slowdown. Is this really the time to be playing the game somebody else's way? I would argue no. Rather than taking garbage orders so you can drive whenever you want, hopefully, depending on your market and the program they have assigned to it, ask yourself if there's any changes you can make so you don't have to take garbage to begin with. For example, in my market during summer, dinner doesn't start at 4 or 5 p.m. It starts at about 7 p.m. and goes until about 10. So I adjust my hours. I'm not sitting in the car waiting for orders when people aren't at home ordering. Something else you may want to consider trying is waking up a little earlier on the weekends and doing coffee and donut runs. While I have heard very mixed things about Starbucks runs, in my market, in the morning, they're really consistent and they keep me very busy. I no longer waste my time on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, especially in the summer when there really aren't many orders to begin with. Don't position yourself around a bunch of other drivers. I know it's fun to chit-chat with people while you're sitting around waiting for orders, but the fewer drivers and the more restaurants, the higher your probability of getting that offer. My point for telling you all of these tips is I'm willing to bet that in most cases, you can work smarter rather than harder, and you probably don't have to play the game DoorDash's way to make money. All right, guys, it's your turn. Please share your theories in the comments section on why Pam got that high-paying order when her acceptance rate was so low. I look forward to hearing the debates. If you haven't done so yet, please do consider pressing the like button and subscribing to my channel. My name is Zach. Take care. I'm just at a point where I think that there's enough lying and manipulating by the apps that we don't need somebody within our own community coming in and doing it too.
Yeah, he is. He's a yuck.
The guy's a fucking scumbag.
Yeah.